Time for outrageous predictions. We know you guys are listening to the Buckeye Talk podcast, and we know that you're getting the text at 614-350-3315. And we know that you like it when we do this. Sometimes we do prop bets. Sometimes we do like, hey, what's a crazy thing that might happen? Steven, we're getting outrageous this time for Ohio State and Rutgers on Saturday. What you bringing for us, Steven Means?
So 3 times in the past 2 years, we've seen Ohio State have 3 guys with 100 receiving yards. Garrett Wilson, Jackson Jigba, and Chris Olave did it twice against Oregon, and then they did it against Michigan State last season. And then against Toledo this year, we've seen Marvin Harrison Jr., Emeka Egbuka, and Jaden Ballard do it. Ballard, most of that coming on that 72-yard touchdown. I am going to take it a step further and say Ohio State is going to have 4 players with 100 receiving yards. So that includes the possibility of Julian Fleming or Cade Stover joining that mix as well. And it's one, a testament to the weapons Ohio State has, 2, a testament to Rutgers stinks, and 3, a testament to CJ Stroud and maybe a little bit of his mindset out there. I was talking to somebody this week, and the thing about CJ is he's very conscious of who isn't involved in the offense and who needs to get a touch here and who gets to need a touch there. He's not really worried about his stats, even though we know his stats can get bananas, but it's why the way he approaches things, the way he wants to spread things out, this is actually possible. It's why you can have multiple receivers have 80 plus receiving yards, 100 plus receiving yards in a game. So that combination of that mindset for him, but then also we might just see Kyle McCord throw it a little bit as well. We'll see maybe a Toledo thing where it's like, multiple guys get 100 yards. I'll put a number on it. 4 people get 100 receiving yards, whether that's 4 receivers or 3 receivers and a tight end or 2 receivers and a running back. 4 guys are going to have 100 receiving yards against Rutgers on Saturday.
I'd also like to nominate the 75-yard screen to Trevion Henderson, which could get him to 100 yards. So I would imagine that has never happened before in Ohio State history to have 4. We can get Jerry Emig and Mike Bassford on that if they get close. I like it. It's outrageous, but I think you outlined like why it could be possible. Nathan Baird, where are you headed?
Well, mine was in a similar vein, but smaller scope and maybe not quite as outrageous. But I was the one who, as much as anyone, was saying before the season that we needed to see Julian Fleming not just play, but actually start making plays as a receiver. We'd seen him get on the field and do some things in like special teams or on the field as a receiver when Ohio State throws a pick and he chases a guy down and causes a fumble. Those are all helpful things. But for him to take a step forward this year, he needed to actually look like the number 1 receiver in his class, or at least a productive receiver. And that started to happen against Toledo with that nice sideline grab in the end zone. And then he kept it up against Wisconsin with a couple of nice touchdown catches. So what he has not had yet is that true featured role, even for 1 week. So I think that happens this week. He's got 250 career receiving yards coming in, and I think he'll get half of that total in just 1 game and add 125 this week. You know, Marvin Harrison Jr. and Emeka Egbuka have had their big games in Jackson Smith and Jigba's absence, and now it's Fleming's turn. And most importantly, I think he's just been building confidence these last couple of weeks by actually himself going out on the field and making those flashes and showing he can do those things. And the rapport is starting to really build with CJ Stroud.
All right, big game for Julian Fleming. I'm going to the other side of the ball with Ohio State's defense. Right now, Ohio State as a team is tied for 7th in the Big Ten with 9 sacks this season. Ohio State, their leader so far is Mike Hall, who has 2. He's 9th in the Big Ten. There's guys with 5.5, with 4, with 3 in the Big Ten. I'm going to predict Jack Sawyer leaps up the rank of Big Ten sackers. I'm going to say 3 sacks for Jack Sawyer against Rutgers. Rutgers threw the ball 49 times against Iowa last week. Iowa had 2 defensive scores, which kept the Rutgers offense on the field a lot of the time, but they threw it about twice as much as they ran it. I don't know if that'll be their game plan against Ohio State, but I think Greg Schiano probably knows we're not going to run on Ohio State. So maybe they're going to have their 3rd best quarterback back there flinging it around. I think we're seeing Jack Sawyer grow in to that Jack position. I think he's reading it. We know he can beat tackles straight up, but I could see a couple sacks maybe because he kind of had one like this where there's some hesitancy in the pocket. The quarterback's not sure what to do, and Jack Sawyer was sort of like waiting and reading, and then he pounces. I think he can get sacks that way. I think he can get sacks lined up as a typical defensive end. So maybe a breakout game. Maybe a breakout game where all of a sudden people around the country are talking about, hey, you know, there's this 5-star guy at Ohio State that they've, you know, the defense has been good, but it's been a little bit of what we talked about in some past years where they're getting pressure. I think they are, but they're not getting to the quarterback a ton. And maybe there's an opportunity for Jack Sawyer, who we all predicted to lead this team in sacks, to have a big game statistically against Rutgers. Read cleveland.com/OSU. Try the texts. And then we know we'll see you guys on the Buckeye Talk pod. For now, that's a Buckeye Talk video. Thanks for watching.